In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how you can start a content agency in 2024 and scale it beyond 10 grand a month for entirely free. So this is just a free video on YouTube, which is going to cover all the key steps that you need to take. And I'm going to try to give you as much information as I possibly can in around 1 hour. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, starting a content agency was the business model that helped me go from being just a random broke kid in Hungary, which is middle of nowhere in Europe, right? Born in a small city, to actually being able to travel the world, buy some of the stuff I wanted to buy, right? Have more freedom, and then eventually start other businesses, well, move to my dream apartment here in Dubai, and yada, 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 right? I'm just saying that to give me a little bit more credibility because I know it's super important here on YouTube. To give some even more credibility to the business model, I want to show you some of the wins that some of the people that I've worked with one-on-one to help them with their agencies as well got. So I just put a couple of them here, just screenshotted a couple. So for example, here, Max just signed 2 more clients for the month. This month he's done 8.4k, right? Or here's Shamu, he's just posted a bunch of wins in one message here. So 1 new client for 1k a month, one-time deal for 2.6k, 2k, 2.5k for 3 months, 2 clients for $750. Here's Dennis, he just got a 1.2k for 1 single video thanks to our sales training. Here's Ryan, 1200 a month video. Here's Max, he just got, or Marco, sorry, he just got a $48,000 video production deal. In another month, he's done 12k. Here's Yasin, his first client for 1900 a month. Here's Dushan, signed 2 clients, one for 1800 a month, one for 2k a month. Here's another guy, Pablo, I work with. He's done over 10k in 1 month. That will make it, he has a pending payment that will make it 12k a month. And you know, these are just some screenshots, obviously that could be faked or whatever. But if you go on my YouTube channel and you go to playlists, here you will see a playlist called case studies. And if you actually click into this, you can see all of these interviews, right? Which are like half an hour to even an hour and a half long, from actual students and people I've worked with who are also running content agencies, and them going over their story of how they got clients, exactly the strategies they used, and so on. So I really hope that this just gives you some more proof that this business model actually works and that you can actually make money and make over 10 grand a month as someone who is more of a creative. You don't necessarily have to sell Facebook ads. You don't necessarily have to be into all that nerdy number stuff. You don't necessarily have to do copywriting. You can also just sell content creation services and make a really good living from it. In fact, you know, we are also proof of that, and we practice what we preach at Grow Creatives. So here's a screenshot from October 2023. This was our previous best month. This month will actually top that, but this was a $44.7 thousand month. As you can see, this is a Stripe screenshot. And just to give even more proof, here are all the invoices that this came from. So you can see there are some smaller ones for as low as $1,000 and some bigger ones for as high as $8,000. You can see all the dates here, the invoice numbers for it, and so on. So there is that. I'm just going to sip on a little bit of coffee. I just got this for this video, so I can sit down for more than an hour straight probably, and just give as much value as I can for you guys in this free video. As you can see, they of course misspelled my name, so Vans here. Anyways, let's get right into the actual training. So what is a content agency? This is something a lot of people hear about, but they don't know what it actually means. So let's get into that. Now, running a content agency is just another form of running a B2B business, and B2B means business to business, okay? So it's a services company, basically. You're working with different businesses on a monthly or even a project basis and helping them reach their goals using content marketing as a form of advertising. So the definition of advertising is an industry used to call the attention of the public to something, typically a product or service. Basically, all that means is your job is to get people's eyeballs onto a business's product or service so that they can get more customers and make more revenue. That's basically your job. Like, your job is to make a business more money. with using content marketing in this case, but it could be other forms of advertising as well, of course, but then it wouldn't be a content agency. Now, Basically, all you're doing is helping a business make their product or service known through content. This can be short form videos or long form YouTube content or anything similar, right? But these are the two most popular formats of content nowadays. You can focus on just one platform only. This is what we do as well. With our clients, we mainly just help them with YouTube, or you can even focus on multiple platforms. So you could help them on Instagram as well, or Instagram and YouTube and TikTok as well. Whatever really works for you. I've seen people succeed with many of these variations. And look, in my opinion, this business model is one of the best ways to stack your first few $100,000 in cash as a creative entrepreneur, okay? This was the business model that allowed me to make my first $100,000 by 18 years old. Now, again, why is this a great business model? Here are a couple of the best parts about it, in my opinion. Number one, close to $0 startup cost. With most businesses, especially if you were to start maybe a creative studio, right? So like an in-person filming studio or something like that, it would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in inventory, in renting out the office, hiring employees, right? So super high startup cost, which makes it impossible for most people to start one. Or even if you start any other type of local business, right? It usually has really high startup costs. With a content agency, close to zero. You can get started for just a few $100s, which would be the software costs. You have really high margins as well. You know, with most local businesses, they make 10%, maybe 20% margins. With a content agency, if you do it virtually and you run a lean team, you can get, 50, 60, even 70+% margins if you're very lean with your team. So it's very profitable. Even beginners can do this, okay? I got my first ever freelancing client when I was 15 years old, and then I already started transitioning to more of a content agency owner when I was around the middle of 16, turning 17 years old. So if I could do it at that age, if I could figure out how to hire someone to do the service for me, and I could figure out how to get the clients, well, then pretty much anybody can do it as well. And again, I made my first 100 grand by 18 with this business model. Another huge thing is you can actually benefit from the growing creator economy without necessarily having to sell your own courses, your own t-shirts, or just being on camera 24/7 and having to act fun on YouTube and make all these cringy videos like I'm doing right now. And it's also a growing industry. In fact, I took this straight from Google, so you know that the source is credible. It's not trust me, bro. The creator economy is a rapidly growing ecosystem of content creators who monetize their passions through a variety of channels, blah, blah, blah. And so the creator economy as a whole is estimated to reach $480 billion a year by 2027. I think it's currently over $300 billion a year industry already. So that's a lot of money, right? Like you can't even really fathom how much money that is per year. So if you can just get a small, tiny slither of that pie by helping some creators or helping some businesses to create content and get more customers through the creator economy, right, and social media, then you can make a lot of money from that. Now, let's talk a little bit about freelancing versus running a content agency. What is the key difference between them? The key difference between working with clients as a freelancer, which is how I got started, and being a content agency owner is that as an agency owner, you are not the one that's fulfilling the actual service of editing the videos, scheduling them, or whatever it might be in your case. A lot of people call themselves agency owners when in reality they are just freelancers, since they are the ones doing all the client works themselves. So that's something important to keep in mind. Now, your income as a freelancer gets capped relatively early and soon because you only have so many hours in a day to work. And as a freelancer, you're basically selling your time directly. So the only way that you can increase your income as a freelancer is by charging more money per hour for your work. And look, this can still get you to $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And I got up to around $6,000 a month relatively quickly as a freelance video editor. So I'm not saying that this is not something that can work, right? But if you want to get bigger numbers, like if you want to reach numbers like this one that I've showed you that we've managed to hit, then you've definitely need to add some form of leverage into your business. There are mainly 4 forms of leverage in the modern age, and this is a concept by Naval Ravikant, who is a very well respected and known businessman. You basically have capital, so that's money. You have labor, which is people working for you. You have code, which is, software, code, you get the point. And then you have media, which is videos, content, right? So out of these 4, when you are transitioning from being just a freelancer to an agency owner, all you're doing is you're just introducing the leverage of labor by hiring other people, and you're basically selling their time and work for a higher amount than you are paying them. And you're making a profit on the difference. So maybe just to give a very simple example to you, let's say you're selling 10 videos to a client for $1,000, and you are paying your video editor $30 per video to edit these videos, and you're selling this to the client, at $1,000, so basically $100 per video. Well, then your cost to fulfill the service is $300, and your profit on the $1,000 is $700 because it's 1,000 minus 300, which is your cost. And then, you will have a little bit of fee from payment processing as well, probably, and maybe some software fees, but the rest of it is pretty much pure profit. Okay, so that is how the agency model really works. And this is a good kind of like, showing of leverage, like a good demonstration of it. When you are doing something that is a high leverage activity, when you do something high leverage, then you can apply a small force, like you can apply less effort, exert less effort, and it's still going to have a large effect on the system as a whole or your business as a whole. So for example, high leverage activities can be creating content, because that content can live on for months and months to come and bring you more benefits in the future. It can be hiring someone, right, to do a repetitive task that you would be doing otherwise. It could be creating systems and processes so you don't have to explain to every single new person who comes on board how to do that certain thing, and they can keep running the system for you, right? These are things that are high leverage because you can pretty much do it once, and it's going to not only produce an effect now, but also in the future, it's going to keep saving you time and effort and energy. Low leverage behavior might be mopping your floors, because all that does is it basically just makes them clean for like a few days, and then it gets dirty again, and then you have to do it. And it also doesn't really make you any money directly. Okay. Or it could be even, cooking your food. It's not necessarily high leverage because you could have just paid someone like an extra $10 to cook it for you, or you could have bought, meal prep for like $5 difference compared to the cost of the materials and have someone make it for you. So that's like relatively low leverage use of your time. What are some of the main tools that we use to run our content agency and run our team and all of that? This is just so you get familiar with some of the tools that you might want to use in the future. So for example, for client communication, we use Slack. For appointment scheduling, we use Calendly. And this is going to allow you, this software allows you to automatically book appointments so you don't have to go back and forth with everyone you're trying to get on a meeting with. Then you have email marketing software, for example, or cold email software. We use instantly.ai. Then you will have payment processing. You will need a way to take payments. It could be through wire transfer, but ideally you want to take payments through card. So then we use Stripe for that. Now you will need a software to manage all your clients, manage all the videos going out, and keep everything organized. We use Asana for that. You can also use other softwares though, like you're not necessarily limited to just these I'm telling you about. I'm just telling you what we use. Then you have things like sheets for tracking stuff. You have forms, you have SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, documents, writing down how to do certain things within the organization, and so on. For that, we use mainly Google Workspace. You might gonna need a website or landing page. We don't use this personally, but I recommend you to use something like Card. It's great for beginners because it's cheap and it's easy to use. Then we use a sales CRM, which is a customer relationship management software, a place where we can keep all of our leads and keep an eye on them, see where everybody is in the sales process, see who we need to follow up with, which are the deals that are stuck somewhere in the pipeline. We use close.com, but you don't need to use something this advanced when you're starting out. But the point is that you want to use a CRM to track your leads and where everybody is in your sales process, like I said. So these are just some of the key tools we use. This doesn't include every single thing. We use other things like Zapier as well for creating automations and things like that. But these are just some of the essential ones that you probably will need when you're starting out and trying to build an actual agency. Now, let's move on to some more interesting topics, which is actually starting your agency, getting it off the ground. And the first step is to pick a niche. So let me take a quick coffee sip and jump right into it. So what is a niche? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Well, let me tell you, a niche refers to a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of service. So basically, the easiest way for me to explain it is you can explain the entire market, all the people who are, potential buyers for something as like the entire pie. It's like, imagine it as a whole pie, and the niche is just a small slice from that big pie. And it's made up of a special or a specific type of people or individuals who share similar, traits, they share similar interests, they share similar characteristics, okay? So it's basically a group of people that you can sell to. So for example, if I talk about fitness influencers, it is a niche. Or if I talk about people who are real estate agents, it is a niche, okay? Or if I talk about people who are carpenters, it is a niche. And then you can get even more specific by going into just a certain, like those people in just a certain area or things like that. But you get the point. Now, why should you niche down? This is a good question to ask. And this is just my opinion on it. Okay, this is what worked for me. Some people are against niching down. So, you can be the judge of which one is best for you. But here's how I look at it. So the reason why you should niche down is because if in the game of business, you don't play your role well in the market, you're going to get eliminated. So life is kind of like a football team, right? If you're not someone who's playing a position in that team and you're not playing it well, you're just kind of trying to do everything, on a mediocre level, well, you're going to get dropped from the team eventually. So it's the same thing in the market. The market is very efficient. It only keeps in the players who are actually good at what they do in the long term. So if you don't choose a very specific role that you can become a master at, then eventually the market is going to tell you that you suck and you will have to basically, stop because you will not be profitable. Another thing is focus is power. Okay. So when you are focusing your attention and your energy on something, you can make a lot of progress in that, okay? Now, you only have a certain amount of energy every single day, and this is a quick demonstration of that I just made. Let's just imagine you have 4 units of energy as a person, or 4 units of time. It applies for both of these things, okay? Now, you can either spend those 4 units going into 4 different directions and reaching out to 4 different niches or 4 different types of people or doing 4 different kind of businesses, whatever the case is, right? Or you could just put all 4 of those units in one direction and make a lot of progress in that. This second way of doing things is what's actually going to get you a lot of results. It's making a lot of progress in one dimension, one direction, right? And then, of course, once you have something that's already good, then you can go in another direction as well. And you can expand focus points or energy points there as well and make sure it comes up to par as well. But you first need to just start with something if you want to make quick progress. So that is the main thing, is because you only have a limited amount of energy and time. Another point is solving one problem well is hard enough, right? So the way you make money in any niche is by actually solving their problem. So to make it easier to grasp, let's just say you are working with people who sell, real estate crediting services, okay? Or like they sell real estate loans, and you're trying to get them more customers. Well, what is their problem? The problem is getting more leads and customers. How are we going to solve that? Well, we can solve it by helping them create amazing content, making people like them through that, and then funneling that attention into actual leads and then customers. Okay, so the problem is actually not having enough customers and not having enough leads. And the way we are going to solve that is through content. But then you need to be very knowledgeable in that field to be able to solve their problem, to know what kind of content to make for them that is going to perform well, right? So solving one problem is hard enough. So if you're trying to work with 100 different niches, you need to solve 100 different problems for 100 different type of people, which makes it way more difficult. And also, if you just focus on one niche and one segment of the market, you can develop expertise really quickly. You can talk to that market every single day. You can learn more about it. You can learn how things work and develop your expertise faster, right? Now, most of the time, the way you grow in business is not by adding extra things onto it. If you look at some of the people who are at the highest level and making the most amount of money, usually they are actually running more simple businesses with less moving parts than those who are starting out, especially when it comes to agency services, right? Obviously, there are huge companies which are very complex, but when it comes to just making a few $100,000 a year or even 100,000 a month, whatever it is, right? You want to keep things simple. You just need one offer, one type of person you are selling it to, and one method or one main method of selling it. That's all you need. So removing things is going to be how you get closer to your goal most of the time, rather than adding it. There's this saying also that simple scales and fancy fails, and I found that to be really, really true from my experience. Now, a lot of people worry about competition, right? Like a lot of people are like, yeah, this niche is saturated, that niche is saturated, this market is saturated, things are not working for me, whatever the case is, right? Now, the only people who are afraid of competition are people who have either a bad service or who want to stay comfortable and not move forward and innovate. The market is big enough for everybody who can actually solve a problem. And this is the key thing I want you to take away from this video, is that if you can actually solve a problem really well, better than other people for a niche, you will be fine, right? Even if you have 5,000 people competing with you, you need to realize that 90% of them, so, you know, whatever the number is in this case, have actually never had more than like 2 to 3 clients. So like 4,500 of those never had more than 2 to 3 clients. Maybe a lot of them had 0 clients. So you have now 500 people. Now, out of those 500 people, maybe 20% of them actually have really good service delivery, really good systems, really good processes, good offer. So then you're competing with like 100 solid companies for tens of thousands of potential clients. So even though it seems like there is a lot of competition from the outside, but when you actually look at the really competent people in pretty much any niche, then the competition becomes pretty small. And also, the way business works really is distribution is not even. It's not like all the market is distributed evenly across everybody who's trying. Usually the top 100 to 500 companies are making the most amount of money, and then a lot of people are just struggling, right? So what you want to do is you want to make a commitment to become extremely good at whatever niche's problem you're solving, and then get yourself up into that 500, companies or 100 companies, whatever it is in your niche, who are getting 80% of the market share, and not be one of the thousands who are struggling for the remaining 20% of the market. And also keep in mind, you only need to capture a very small percent of the market to make 6 or even multiple 6 figures a year. Like usually it's literally less than 0.01% of markets. Basically, to make 8 grand a month, all you need is 4 clients who pay you 2,000 a month. Now, obviously, if you want to make 8,000 profit and you have a team, then you might need, let's say, 6 clients at 2,000 a month, right? But still, the point is, you don't need hundreds of clients to build a business that can give you enough freedom and financial and time freedom to live a life that is closer to what you want out of life than where you are right now. Okay, so once you have decided on what niche you are going to serve and who you are going to help, then it's time for you to go and create an actual offer for them. So you need three key things to be able to create a well thought out offer. Okay. Number one, you need to know your ideal client avatar. So this can also be called your niche. So basically, who are you helping, right? You want to write down exactly who it is you're helping. Think about quite a lot of questions, right? So you want to be asking yourself, like, how old is my ideal customer? What do they do for work, right? Do they have kids? Do they not? Where do they live? And then how do they dress, right? What kind of car do they drive? Like, the clearer you can get about the idea of who is your ideal customer, the easier it will be to find those people eventually. And if you hire people to help you find those people as well, then the more clearly you can describe them, the exact ideal customers, the better of a job they can do for you. Then the second thing you need for a good offer is a transformation. So a transformation is taking them from the place that they are right now to the ideal place where they want to be. And your offer should be the bridge between these two places, and it should create this transformation for them. So you want to ask yourself, where are they right now and where do they want to go? And where do you help them get with your offer? And then the third is service delivery. So you need to have a way to make this transformation happen for them. So what are the mechanisms that you are going to be using that to make sure that they arrive at the destination, right? And also, what are the activation points that they need to hit to guarantee that these results happen? So let's take an example of both of these, right? So mechanisms, they can be certain things that you do in your service to make sure that they get the result they want. So you could, for example, if you're doing short form content for them, well, you could help them with coming up with ideas. You could help them with scripting videos. You could help them with scheduling the videos to make sure they go out on time. You could analyze their retention. You could help them with speaking better on camera. You could help them with setting up their set. Like, these are all things that you could do to make sure that you are doing the most, to make sure that they will be, making good videos and getting results with it. Now, in terms of the activation point, it's like, what is required from them, or what are the actions required for them that need to happen to make sure that as long as you've done your job, they will get to the point where they want to go. Okay, so these are all three things that you want to think about if you want to make, again, a well thought out and good offer. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is the offer is just the way that you position your service, or the way that you position the transformation you help to deliver. It's not actually what you are selling. So even if you're selling videos, right, and you're selling content creation, your offer is not necessarily that. It's more so the transformation that you help people get. And it's just the way you communicate that transformation to them. You are never selling the vehicle of how you make the transformation happen. You're always selling the outcome if you want to be good at sales. Now, here's Alex Hormozy's value equation. If you haven't read $100 million offers yet, I highly recommend you do so. It's very popular book, and it's for a reason. It's a pretty good book on how to make good offers. And his value equation basically has 4 quadrants, right? Or four key elements. First, you have the dream outcome, which is where the client wants to go. And then you multiply that by the perceived likelihood of achievement. So I guess you could put that into like a percentage. If they are 90% sure that they will achieve it, then you would multiply it by 0.9, right? If they are only 10% sure that they will achieve that dream outcome, then you would multiply it by 0.1. And then you divide that by the time delay that it takes them to get it. So if it takes with your service 6 months to get to that ideal dream outcome, then that's a relatively medium time frame. If it takes them 5 years to get it, it's quite a long time frame. If they can get it within 7 days, that's a super short time frame, right? So most people will be usually between like 3 months to a year when it comes to service-based businesses. But anyways, there's that. And then you would multiply that by the effort and sacrifice that is required from them. So that's how you get, your value from your offer. Now, the key thing is, and the way you really just want to use this equation, in my opinion, is to number one, think about all of these 4 things. And then anything that's on top of the equation, right? So dream outcome and perceived likelihood of achievement. What are all the things that you could do to make these as high as possible? So like, what can you do to make their perceived likelihood of achievement as high as possible to get to their dream outcome, as likely as possible? And then on the bottom 2, what can you do to decrease these as much as humanly possible? So what could you do to decrease the time it takes to get to their dream outcome? And what can you do to decrease the time, the effort and the sacrifice that is required on their behalf to get this outcome that they're after, okay? Now, the big mistake that most creatives make is that they think that they are selling videos. This is the easiest way to stay broke. The vehicle for change is not what you are selling. The change itself is what you are selling, right? So the goal is simple, to get our clients from where they are to where they want to be with the least amount of resistance, time, and effort on their part. In your offer, you can have different type of delivery methods. As long as they help you to get your clients the results that they are after, you should do them, right? So there is mainly 3 type of delivery methods. There is done for you, so you doing something for the client directly with basically 0 effort on their side. There is done with you, which is more like consulting style, so they are doing it together with you. And then there is do it yourself, which could be, for example, you making a video on how to do something and then them having to watch it and implement everything that's said in that video. So here's an example of a hybrid YouTube offer. Okay, so the transformation that happens here is the client having no YouTube channel, and then the result that they are after is getting a ton of leads from YouTube every single week. So here's all the different type of things you could, for example, offer, both done with you, do it for yourself, and done for you aspects. So done with you is blue in this case, yellow is do it yourself, and green is done for you. So for example, we could optimize the channel for them. We can create a content strategy together with them. We can find video ideas and script them out for them. They would record 2 videos a week, let's say, and upload it to Google Drive. And then we could edit the videos and thumbnails for them. We could do the SEO. We could schedule it to go live. And then, we could optimize their landing page and content to get more appointments to get together with them, let's say. We could analyze the feedback from the content and consult them on how they can do better together with them. And if we just repeat this process, you would eventually get to the dream outcome, right? So this is an example of a transformation in everything we do and how we do it to get that, okay? I hope this gives you a bit of a better idea. Obviously, all of these are topics that we could make 1-hour-long videos on itself, and it is in fact something we do in our paid community called Grow Creatives. So this is our logo and this is our name. If you are interested in potentially working with us and you want us to help you to actually implement all of this stuff, then you can book a call in the first link in the description. Anyways, enough of the plug. Next part is finding contractors for outsourcing, right? So once we have the niche, once we have an offer, then we need someone to fulfill our service, or you can also do it yourself in the beginning. That also works, right? But if you want to find someone to do it for you, well, number one, I've already made a video covering the entire team that we have to run a 40K plus per month agency on pretty much autopilot at this point. So if you want, you can check that video here. I'm also going to leave it in the description. But if you're still doing the service delivery yourself, you need to start with the lowest hanging fruit, which is, outsourcing the service delivery. So the first thing you should do is hire a video editor. Now, it usually takes going through a lot of trials and also interviews to find an A-player video editor. So just be prepared for that, right? Because a lot of people are surprised how hard it is to find an actually good team player who works for reasonable prices and everything. So just better to go into it knowing it's going to be relatively difficult to find someone who's actually really good. You can find a lot of video editors pretty easily, but finding someone who's really, really good and could work for you for the long term, even full time, it's not easy. So it will take, for most people, 10, 20, even 30 plus applicants to find someone that good. Now, here are some of our favorite places to find good video editors. So you could use Twitter, you could use editing Discord groups or communities, you could use Upwork, you could use Facebook groups. Honestly, any of these methods work. It's to some extent also up to chance where you find your person. So just keep at it until you find someone really good who you can work with. Now, I also like to make sure that I have a good vibe with the person that I'm talking to. So I like to, first just make a post about the fact that we are hiring. Then we have an actual form where we ask more questions and we ask them for their portfolio and all of that, so we can pre-filter who we get on an interview call with. And then we start doing these editor interviews and do like 30 minutes or so with every single person. See kind of like what they are like as a person as well, aside from just their editing skills, what is their experience like and so on. And then try to kind of filter it down more and more from there. Now, it's generally best to find editors from countries where the USD goes a long way. So for example, India, Philippines, or even Eastern Europe are great because you can pay a very competitive wage for them, and you would still pay a lot less than you would if you hired someone from the US, Canada, or UK. You can hire someone full-time, even from, Eastern Europe, like Ukraine or Poland or any of these, for $1,000 to $1,500 per month. And they would be very happy with that pay. And in the US, if you wanted to find a really good editor full-time, you would probably pay, $5,000, $6,000 a month, or sometimes even more. So that's why we prefer trying to find editors from countries where the dollar goes a longer way. Now, you can call this unethical, but this is really how capitalism works. Like, if you look at any of the companies, literally, and see where their, service delivery is, for lack of a better term, it's always overseas pretty much. So even if you look at all the clothing companies, the clothes are usually not produced in the US. They are usually produced in India or Bangladesh or something. If you call up the customer support of any major company, it's almost always overseas. So it's just how capitalism works. It's about finding the most efficient way to deliver the service at the lowest cost while still having a good quality. So it is what it is, right? Now, as long as you are fair with your team members, you pay them well, you treat them with respect, you're kind to them, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Because when I was starting out, I was the guy in a small country getting paid less than I would have got in the US and working overtime and so on. And I still managed to get paid more and more over time because I was giving 110% effort and trying to go up the ladder, right? At first, I was making around $12 an hour or so. And then before that, I was making like $3 an hour, pretty much working in Hungary as an intern. So it's just a game. Cool. Next up, once you got your talent and everything, then you will need to build a landing page. A landing page is basically just a website that is designed more specifically to convert viewers into booked appointments or customers, right? So what is the function of a landing page? It has a couple key functions. Number one, to explain your service to people. Number two, to showcase competence through testimonials and case studies. Number three, to pre-sell your business to people who are landing on your page and going through it and watching the video on it and so on. Number four, to break any limiting beliefs that your prospects might have. And number five, to actually book the calls for you. So you want to be selling your service, obviously, on sales calls. You don't want to be selling them through email or through DMs. It's super important. So the reason why it's good to have a landing page is because it will turn viewers into actual booked appointments in your calendar. The way you want to structure your landing page is you want to have a headline at first. So you will have a bold claim and your headline is your offer, okay? Then you want to have a video sales letter. So that is just basically a video. It can be anywhere from usually 2 to 6 minutes long, or even 10 sometimes, if you have a lot of case studies and so on, where you explain your service, establish authority, do all of these things. You will have a book a call button under that video. Then you can have the pain points of your clients and how your service solves it. You can have social proof that can be case studies, testimonials, screenshots of results, anything like that. You can showcase your previous work. so that they can see the quality of work you can do. This is especially important if you don't have a lot of case studies yet. You can have an explanation of how your service works, frequently asked questions, and then a calendar where they can book in a call. Here's an example for you. So this is the headline without the certain pain that the clients don't want to do. Here's the video sales letter. Here's the book a call button. Here are a few points on why they might want to use YouTube. Then we have case studies, results, for clients. Then we have actual testimonials. Then a bit more about the founders. We have the process, and then frequently asked questions and the actual calendar. So this is how most landing pages look like. Now, what are the softwares to use for your landing page? Honestly, if you're not planning to do super advanced things like opt-ins and email marketing, or running a newsletter and automations and things like that, then it doesn't matter too much which software you go with. A good, cheap, and beginner-friendly option is Card, because it's literally like $9 to $19 a year, so less than a few dollars a month. Super easy to use, and you can put your dedicated domain to it. So it's a good option, but you can also use website builders like Wix, Squarespace. I personally use Go High Level because I can do a lot more complex and advanced things in that as well. Or you can even use Webflow if you want more advanced design capabilities. It will be a lot more difficult to learn though, so keep that in mind. Now, let's move on to finding clients. So there are a couple methods I'm going to cover that you can use to find clients right now. I'm going to go through 5. So the first one is using the freelancer or contractor method, right? And so that is when you actually hire a lead scraper for you to basically, find you potential clients based on the description that you gave them. So this is the one I would recommend the most if you have some money to spend or invest rather. The pros of this is that 90% of lead gen work is done for you. Sometimes it's cheaper than the other options. You have a big pool of potential candidates and Facebook groups who could do something like this. And this is very scalable, right? If you have people doing this for you, it's very scalable. You don't have to be sitting down for 5 hours a day just scraping leads. Now, the cons is that it might take you quite a while to find someone who's really good. Second method, you have manual scraping. So this is when you do it yourself. So you go on YouTube, you go on Facebook groups, you go on Instagram, you go anywhere on the web, LinkedIn, whatever you want, and you find potential fits yourself. The pros of this is that obviously it's free, so it costs you only your time. You can do like sniper targeting, so you can be very specific with exactly what you're looking for. But the cons are that it takes time. It's not very scalable because you can only do it for so many hours a day. You can use platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook to find potential prospects that match your ideal client profile. Then look for their email addresses and then reach out to them manually on these platforms. This is not actually a con. This is just something that was added there. Now, third, you have a Sales Navigator plus a scraping software. So Sales Navigator is a tool for LinkedIn, and then you can use these softwares like EvaBoot or Visa. Now, the pros of this method is that you can be very specific with your targeting and is very scalable. So this is a good option for niches that are very present on LinkedIn. Now, you can also use email scrapers. So there are different tools like Hunter.io, Snow.io, Lucia, Rocket Reach, and so on, which are actual softwares that will kind of like scrape emails for you. You can get databases as well, whatever it is. I'm not the biggest fan of these personally because sometimes they are very expensive and you can get pretty shitty leads from them, but it can also work for some people. So it might be worth still looking into these, but I probably wouldn't recommend starting out with these necessarily. And then another method is you can actually use Google Maps plus a scraper, and this is more so, this only works with local businesses, so if you're working with locals. And then you can use the scraping software as well, like SpyLead, and get a lot of leads from Google Maps this way. Now, in terms of the actual outreach methods that you can use to reach out to these prospects that you found, there's many that you can go with, but one of the biggest beginner misconceptions is that there is such a thing as the best outreach method. Now, the truth is, this simply doesn't exist. There is only best outreach method for a specific niche and offer. So you want to look at, okay, where do my ideal customers hang out on the internet, right? Do they spend time on LinkedIn? Is it in their email inbox? Is it on social media? And then once you identify that, then you can actually choose what is the best outreach method for you specifically. And you also want to try different things, test everything, right? Track your numbers, and then you can make an actual educated decision or on which one is the best for you specifically. You can reach your customer avatar with email outreach, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Again, the question is, where is it the easiest to reach them and where is the highest percentage of your niche concentrated? This is usually something that differs case by case, so you need to figure this out yourself, based on where your ideal customer hangs out. For example, most tax advisors might be the easiest to reach through email because they must be in their inbox all the time, but maybe a fitness influencer spends more time in their IG DMs because that's where they sell, so they might be easiest to reach there. Now, email in general is the most universal outreach method. I found that it works for basically every single niche if you do it well. The problem is that most people just don't know how to use it, right? So you don't want to, number one, use your personal Gmail account and send a bunch of emails from that because you will eventually start landing in spam. And number two, you don't want to write like super long emails that seem very salesy. I'm going to leave in the description below a video that I've done on emails. And actually in that video, I also show a specific email template we have used to get really good results. So you get a better idea about how to do that as well. Now, to avoid going into spam, which is one of the most important things, because a lot of people send out hundreds of emails and they are like, well, I didn't get any single replies. And a lot of times you didn't even land in their inbox, right? That's why it didn't happen. So one of the most important things is to avoid going into spam. Make sure your emails are getting delivered and also opened. Here are 5 quick things that you can do. So first up is to, number one, use the software like Instantly. And then also set up your domains properly and make sure you set SPF, DKIM, and DMARC and a custom tracking domain. Okay, so I put here 2 guides. I'm going to link also this entire document below this video so you can click these links there. Now, the second tip is to warm up your domain. So warm up is crucial part of email outreach and you cannot skip it. You need to actually not just go from 0 to sending out 30 emails per day from your account. You want to slowly warm them up to make sure that they will get delivered. Then you also want to avoid spam triggering words in your email copy. Now, here's a list of spam triggering words as well. So you can also click this link in the description below once you go into this document and go to this blog. Then you also want to clean your lead list. So you can use a tool like neverbounce.com where you can literally put in your lead list and it's going to test which emails are actually legit, which ones aren't. And this way, you will only be sending out the emails to those emails which are verified and will actually, land into real people's inbox. And this is important as well. And then another thing is inbox rotation. So you want to assign 3 to 5 email accounts per campaign. And that's another thing. Now, if this seems overwhelming at first, I couldn't go into that much detail on email because even in our program, we have I think 4 hours of training just on how to set everything up there. So if you guys want, and if there is a lot of, interest for it, I can bring on my business partner, Greg, to talk a bit more about, setting up email campaigns and stuff like that on the channel. Or if you want help with this now, you can just, again, book a call in the description below. But yeah. Next up, we have building your personal brand. So even though cold outreach is still a viable way to get your first couple of clients, if you want to supercharge your results, you definitely want to be creating content as well and building your own brand. You can do this obviously on YouTube, Instagram, or even LinkedIn or any of the other platforms. And this way, they can see your face and they can build trust with you before they would even get on a call with you, right? So then it's going to be much easier to close these leads and these people. Now, your content should be about the key problems that your ideal clients are facing, and you should be giving them actionable solutions. This is a really good saying by my friend Charlie Morgan, is that value is created when pain is alleviated, okay? And so basically, the way you can add value in your content is by talking about things and giving actual solutions, so that their pain of not knowing how to do something or not being sure about something gets, eradicated and alleviated. You want to be giving value and creating value with your content, okay? Now, I recommend you to start with just one YouTube video per week and maybe like 2 to 3 short form pieces of content per week. You shouldn't be spending all your time on that, but it is a really valuable activity to do. So I would recommend you to start building your brand as well and share some of the lessons and things that you are learning along the way in terms of solving the problem that you're trying to solve as well with your service, okay? So next up, tracking your outreach. This is super, super important. I cannot stress this enough. Tracking your numbers is crucial. Now, most people, what they do is they start email outreach, they start Instagram outreach, whatever method they use. They send out 100 emails or 100 messages, whatever it is. They didn't get a client from it, and they say, okay, this doesn't work, and it's a scam. And they didn't actually track their numbers, so they don't know where things go wrong. Now, if you don't track your outreach, again, you don't know what you are doing wrong, so there is no way you can fix it. We make our private students track their outreach every single day, so we can see where we need to tweak the system. So this is, for example, our tracking sheet that we use. And here you can see that every day you can put in the amount of new messages that were sent, how many replies you got, how many calls you booked, how many deals were closed. And it also automatically calculates some important metrics like your reply rate, booking rate, show up rate, close rate. And we also have KPIs, which are key performance indicators, basically like where we want that number to be. And so we can see whether we are hitting those numbers or not. Another thing I want to add here is following up with old prospects is super important. It's very key. So all in all, you want to create a document like this and start tracking your numbers so you can actually see where things go wrong. Where do things break? Is it the fact that they are not even opening our emails? Because then it might be that they are not even being delivered. Is it that they are not replying? Because then our email copy might not be the best. Is it that they reply but they are not interested? Well, then maybe the offer is not that good or our landing page is not that good. Is it that we are booking calls but we cannot close them? Well, there might be something there with our sales skills that we need to level up. So you can always figure out where the problem is if you are tracking all of these key stages of the process. Okay, so now just to give you a quick summary of everything we talked about so far, you know now what's a content agency, you know why it's a good business model, you know that it's important to pick a niche, and I hope after this video you're actually going to take the time and think through some of your options and actually commit to a niche. You know what are the main things you need to focus on to create a good offer for them. You know how to find people to outsource to. You know what are the things that should be on your landing page. You know how to find clients and potential clients for your service. You know some of the different outreach methods that you can use. You know why it's important to start a personal brand. And you know that you need to be tracking your outreach numbers, and actually you need to hit volume with it as well. You cannot just send 100 messages and then call it a day. What I recommend you to do instead is set a daily target for yourself. Maybe it's 30 messages, 30 outreaches per day. Maybe it's 50, whatever your time allows for now. And then you want to hit that consistently every single day for over a month, for over 2 months, and see what happens then, while simultaneously also building out your brand on Instagram and YouTube, okay? And giving value to your audience. Next up, after you have done this process, you're going to start booking some calls if you do things properly. So that means you will have people booking, meetings into your calendar. And so, then you need to close those people somehow. So if you don't know how to do a sales call, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to walk you through our exact process that we use right now. So on the sales call, our key goals are 3 things, okay? Number 1, define where they are right now. So you want to find out where is the prospect right now with their business, with their life. Why did they book this call? Why do they feel stuck? with their business. And then you want to find out where they want to be instead. So what is their desired outcome that, they want to be at? And there must be one. If they booked a call with you, that there is some pain that can be solved. So it's up to you to figure out what that really is. And then the third thing is, once you know where they are and you know where they want to be, you want to highlight the gap between the two things. And your product and service is the bridge between where they are right now and where they would like to be. So you can only sell them if your product or service will actually help them go from where they are to where they want to be. It is the key to making the sale happen. Great salespeople, they don't sell products or services. What they do is they sell futures. So they sell a future, a better future than the current reality of the prospect. This is super important, okay? I want you to really remember this so that you will do your sales goals the proper way. Now, we follow this pretty simple 5-step process when we close clients. So at the first stage of the call is defining again their current and their desired state. So you can call this part the questioning phase. Then after that, if they are a good fit, you will pitch your offer to them. You will answer any technical questions that they might have. You overcome any objections that they might have about working with you, and then you close them. That is basically it. I don't like to spend a lot of time, this is just a side tangent, but I don't like to spend a lot of time in the beginning of the calls with the report building. I know a lot of people are like, ask them, hey, how are your kids doing? Do you have any dogs? Where do you live? Blah, blah, blah. You want to keep the report building very short, in my opinion. The way I do it is just like hop on a call with them. Hey, Richard, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Maybe you can ask like, hey, where are you calling from? Oh, you're from Minnesota? Cool. I actually never been there. Must be good place. Although probably nobody ever said that about Minnesota yet. No offense to anyone living there. Yeah. And then I would just go straight like, okay, cool. So I know you're probably very busy as well as a business owner, so I'm not going to waste your time at all. I have a call coming up after this as well. So basically the way this call is going to go is I'm first going to ask you some more questions about where you're at with your YouTube channel right now. Exactly, what are the things you have tried? How are things going right now? And then also, what are the goals that you have with it going into the future, and seeing whether I could help you with them or not. If not, I will let you know. If yes, I will tell you how my services work, exactly, how much they cost, how they work, and so on. And then all I ask for you is to make a simple yes or no decision, whether you would like to move forward or not at the end of the call. Sounds fair? And then you go straight into the questioning phase after that. Now, for taking payments, I recommend using Stripe. And you want to get your clients on a monthly reoccurring payment subscription so that they don't need to pay you manually every time. Because every time they have to manually pay an invoice, they are going to reevaluate whether they want to keep working with you or not. It's the same thing as, if you have subscribed to Spotify, for example, or YouTube Premium, that amount just automatically gets withdrawn from your account every single month. So you don't even really think about it. Same thing, even with more expensive services. If somebody is on an automatic subscription, it just gets taken out of their account every single month. They don't really think about it. But if they have to manually go out of their way to go into a bank to transfer you the money or pay your invoice manually, it's going to have a lot more friction than if it just automatically gets charged. And you want to actually take payment on the call. So a prospect is not a client until they have paid you. So you haven't closed the client just because they said yes, and then they are like, I'm going to pay the invoice next week. They are most likely not going to pay it. What you need to do is, after you overcome every objection and they have decided that they want to work with you, you want to take payment on the actual call. Make them the subscription in Stripe so that they can pay for it, get their card info, or get them to put it in, and lock in that client on the actual call before you would let them off the call. Okay. Now, here are a couple things that I've done to go from a timid and afraid salesperson who could barely even get on a call. I was so nervous when I first started doing sales calls; it wasn't even funny. To being able to close 3 to 6, even 10K a day like clockwork. Nowadays I can not to say this with being arrogant or to sound cocky, but I can very easily hop on a call and close a 5K deal. It doesn't feel like a challenge at all. Number one, I became dedicated on becoming a master salesperson. I actually made the decision that, okay, right now I completely suck at sales. How can I change this? How can I go from this to someone who's actually competent on selling? Number two, I worked on my mindset and shifting my identity. A lot of people have false beliefs around sales. You might believe, when you hear the word sales, you're probably thinking of your local car salesman who's like super annoying and very pushy. A lot of people have this negative connotation when it comes to the word sales. So the first thing I had to do, because I had this as well, is I actually had to rewrite the programming in my brain and realize and make this new belief and create this new belief that sales is really just about helping the prospect make an educated decision that is best for them. If your product or service helps your clients and makes a better future for them, then it's actually your moral obligation to try to sell them and close them, because you will make their life better, right? But the only way you will really do that is if you're really confident in whatever it is that you're selling. So that's why that's the first step, is because if you're not confident in your service, you will have a hard time selling it, because you will self-sabotage. Then the third thing is I took hundreds of sales calls, okay? I didn't become good at sales naturally, and I still have a long way to go, by the way. I'm not trying to act like I'm the best salesman. I'm nowhere near that. But I took hundreds of calls. I did practice for hundreds of hours, right? And I got to a point where now I can close these relatively high ticket deals. So just be prepared for that pretty much nobody is born as a natural salesperson. It's very rare. So you will have to actually take the time and commit to it to become really good at it. Number four, I recorded plenty of my calls and I would review them afterwards. So I would watch back my sales calls and I would analyze it and see where I did good and where I did bad, where the prospect pulls back, where they lean in. And then, basically I just studied my game. Just like how in basketball, the best players, they always study their plays. They always watch back their games so they can improve on it. You want to do the same thing as a salesperson. You want to be recording your calls, listening back to them and seeing where you could say something differently. You want to be practicing your pitch. The step number 5, which is super important, is you want to find someone who can mentor you on this, someone who can review your calls together with you, who can teach you more about sales, more about tonality, how to handle objections and so on. And that can shortcut your success a lot. When I first got my first mentor, it helped me become much better so much quicker. Okay. So at this point, now you know pretty much all the basics that you need to know about, how to choose a niche, how to craft an offer, how to find people to outsource to, what to put on your landing page, how to find clients, what are the different outreach methods that you can use, why you should track your numbers, how to actually take sales calls in terms of the process to follow. So we have covered a lot of ground today, and obviously there is a ton of nuance to all of this stuff. This is not going to be probably the last video you ever watch, but I'm telling you that if you actually implement these things, you are on the right path. And when it comes to scaling beyond $15,000 per month, if you made it this far into this video, I want to first congratulate you. Like, you are already more committed and have a way better attention span than 99% of people. So you are definitely going to be successful if you just stay on this path and continue improving and learning. We've covered a lot in this video, as I've said, but obviously there is a lot of nuance in every single step. Like, the information is important, but implementing this stuff is everything. That's the most important part. So if you're either already making $2 to $3 grand a month at least, and you're looking to scale faster beyond 15 to 20 grand a month, or even if you're starting from scratch, but you have some money that you can invest into shortcutting the amount of time it takes you to get there, I might be able to help you on a more personal level as well at Grow Creatives. Now, if you want to take the guesswork out of your journey and really implement everything we talk about today and go into more nuance as well, then you can basically just book a call with us below this video. It's going to look like this. It's going to be a scheduler. and then we can talk and see whether you would be a good fit to work with us one-on-one, and if we can help you scale further, just like we have all the other members that I talked to you about in the beginning of this video. So you can start closing deals like these as well, left and right. Now, again, this is not for everyone. It's only for people who are very serious, committed, and have some money to invest. But it is an offer that I think is pretty unmatched on the market right now, because we have an action-based guarantee as well, where if you followed every step we talk about, and you actually attended our calls and everything, we have a really, really strong guarantee as well behind it, where you will basically guaranteedly add at least 5 high-ticket clients in the next couple months. But anyways, enough of that. I really hope that more than anything, this video gave you some more clarity, at least on what are some of the key topics you need to start researching some more and actually implementing as well. I'm going to leave this entire document below this video, as well as a couple other videos that I've made on some of these topics, so you can keep learning even more about each of these steps. And don't worry, by the way, if you are someone who cannot, join a Grow Creatives right now, I'm still going to make more videos on each one of these steps as well, and going into more detail, because otherwise this video would have been 10 hours long if we went into so much detail on every single one of them. But yeah, I really hope this video helped you. I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you are serious and committed about growing, go ahead and book a call below. And if you enjoyed it, then go ahead, hit the like button. I guess it helps with the algorithm. Much appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next video on the channel. Cheers.